Shocking. Millionaire humiliates nanny at midnight. But then the unimaginable happens. The grand clock in the opulent mansion struck midnight, echoing through the hollow corridors like a whisper of doom. Shadows danced on the walls, flickering in the dim light of the antique chandeliers. In the heart of this wealth and luxury, a storm brewed, and it was about to unfold. The millionaire, Leonard Savoy, known for his ruthless business deals, was a man who thrived on power and control. But nothing could prepare him for the chilling twist that awaited him that night. Emma, his loyal nanny, had gathered her courage and bravely stood up to him. With trembling hands and a pounding heart, her voice trembled as she confronted him about the endless hours, the unfair pay, and the way he treated her like an invisible servant. It was a moment that had been building for years, and now, the air hummed with tension. The walls seemed to close in as her words rang out in defiance. But Leonard's face twisted into a sneer, eyes glinting with malice. "Are you really going to lecture me about respect?" he thundered, his voice booming through the hall like rolling thunder, making Emma's chest tighten. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by his mocking laughter that echoed off the marble floors. Servants peered from around corners, their breaths held in fear. Emma stood as a small figure, dwarfed by the enormity of the man before her, yet her courage flickered like a candle in the darkness. Outside, a storm cracked the sky, jagged lightning illuminating his face, revealing an unsettling mix of anger and amusement. A shiver ran down Emma's spine, not just from the cold draft, but from the raw energy of the moment. As Leonard leaned closer, she felt a lump in her throat. This was more than just humiliation. It was a challenge. Something primal stirred within her. But just when it seemed the night couldn't get any worse, the unimaginable occurred. The lights flickered, plunging them into darkness. Gasps rose from the onlookers as silence enveloped the mansion. Emma felt her heart race. What was happening? A strange, electric energy buzzed in the air. Suddenly, a chilling scream pierced through the blackness. It was unlike anything they had ever heard, a sound so filled with terror that it knotted everyone's stomach. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." The lights flickered back on, revealing twisted faces in the crowd, eyes wide with shock. Leonard stood frozen, mouth agape, as if he had seen a ghost. In the corner of the room, a figure cloaked in all black emerged, their silhouette drenched in mystery. The tension shot through the room like a jolt of electricity. Who was this figure? What did they want? And why did Emma feel deep in her bones that this night had just begun? Everything she thought she knew was unraveling. As whispers and gasps filled the room, one question loomed above all else. What would happen next? The figure stepped forward, their face still obscured beneath the hooded cloak. A hush fell over the crowd as the tension thickened like fog, wrapping around everyone present. Emma's heart raced, pounding in her ears as she tried to make sense of what was happening. "Who are you?" Leonard's voice cracked, a hint of uncertainty seeping through his bravado. The figure shifted, revealing glinting eyes that seemed to penetrate straight through Leonard's facade. "I have come to reclaim what was stolen," they said, their voice low and haunting, echoing off the walls like a whisper from the dead. Emma's breath caught in her throat, the words heavy with ominous promise. What could this stranger mean? Leonard took a step back, his bravado faltering. "What nonsense is this?" he barked, but his tone wavered, revealing a flicker of fear. The crowd shifted uncomfortably, tension thick as molasses. "Check your heart, Leonard," the figure replied, their voice sharp as glass. "You've never known kindness, have you? The darkness you drown others in will be the very darkness that swallows you whole." Glimmers of doubt crossed Leonard's face, his cocky demeanor cracking under the weight of an invisible force. Emma could hardly breathe as she watched the events unfold. Anguish washed over her, and for a moment, she felt an odd connection with this cloaked figure, as if they were here for her, 2. Lightning illuminated the room again, casting eerie shadows that danced across the walls. The figure stepped closer to Leonard, the tension electric. You've wronged many, and tonight, the scales of justice will be tipped. A low rumble of thunder echoed ominously as Leonard narrowed his eyes. This is preposterous. Who sent you? I'll not be threatened in my own home. Emma's pulse quickened. Unseen hands seemed to grip her shoulders, pushing her toward the unfolding drama. She wanted to scream, to warn Leonard that he was teetering on the edge of an abyss, but her voice stuck in her throat. Your time is over, Leonard, the figure said, raising a hand clad in black leather gloves, gesturing as if drawing invisible strings in the air. Suddenly, the lights dimmed once more, plunging the mansion into darkness. The panic surged like a wave. People stumbled, and whispers of dread filled the room. Emma's heart raced wildly. She could feel the atmosphere shift, charged and thick with anticipation. Get out! Get out! Someone shouted, and chaos erupted. A few brave souls dashed for the door, propelled by fear. Emma felt paralyzed where she stood, unable to move, her eyes glued to the stranger and Leonard, who now seemed a shadow of the man he was just moments ago. Then, without warning, a textured darkness enveloped the room, filling it with a presence that felt almost alive. Gasps of horror escaped the onlookers as they felt an icy chill seep into their bones. The figure stood tall, bathed in shadows, and for a heartbeat, everything hung suspended in an eerie silence. In the distance, the piercing scream echoed once more, reverberating through the chaos. It came from a place that felt too close, too familiar. A bone-deep dread unfurled inside Emma as realization dawned this wasn't just about Leonard anymore. The cloaked figure pointed toward her, and Emma felt their gaze lock onto hers, a connection so powerful it nearly knocked the breath from her lungs. You are not alone, it whispered, sending chills racing down her spine. The night was far from over, and as the storm continued to rage outside, Emma could only wonder what dark truths were about to be unveiled, and what lines would be crossed before dawn's light broke through the chaos. What lay ahead would test them all, but one thing was clear: everything was about to change. Fear clawed at Emma's insides as the figure's gaze pierced into her. The sensation wrapped around her throat like a vice, squeezing tighter with each second. The cacophony of panic swirled around her, yet she remained locked in place, transfixed by the chilling intensity of those glinting eyes. I didn't ask for this, she murmured to herself, though the words felt hollow. Leonard stammered, backed against the wall now, wisdom and bravado tumbling together in a shattering crumple. Stay away from her, he blurted, eyes darting nervously. But the figure remained silent, their attention unwavering. As the shadows deepened, the air became suffocating, pressing down heavily on the crowd. Emma could feel the palpable dread rising like a tide. Whispers of disbelief flickered among the guests. Some looked toward the exits with wild eyes, while others were rooted in place by a morbid curiosity. Someone do something, a woman shouted, her voice trembling as she clutched her friend's arm, nails digging deep into flesh as if seeking refuge. Do you truly think you can escape what you've created? The figure finally answered, voice unwavering, even melodic. Each word sliced through the crowd as they fell deeper into despair, echoing like a haunting lullaby. With a sudden, fierce gesture, the figure drew back their hood. Emma's breath slammed into her chest. Beneath the cloak, a face emerged, a sharp-jawed woman with fierce, stormy eyes that burned with a flame of anger and purpose. Each person in the room felt the chilling fury emanate from her. I will show you the truth, the woman declared, voice steady and strong. Truth? What truth can you offer? Leonard sneered, yet it lacked his earlier confidence. A tremor ran through him, and he clenched his fists tight as if to hold on to the threads of his unraveling power. The woman took a step closer to him, fear flickering across the faces of those watching. You've haunted others for too long, Leonard. Tonight, you will face the weight of your actions. Even in desperation, Leonard couldn't suppress the arrogance. You think you can frighten me? This is insanity. You'll regret this, he spat defiantly, but his voice quaked. Suddenly, the lights flickered once more, and in that split second of brilliance, Emma's heart sank as she saw it. A horrific collection of faces twisted in agony, flooding her memory with past horrors. Those Leonard had wronged families shattered, dreams crushed, each an echo of pain laced with the darkness that surrounded the man like a second skin. "Stop!" she shouted, breaking free from her invisible bonds. Horror and compassion surged within her, drawing her forward. "I can't let this happen. I need to stop this." The words tumbled out, fueled by a wave of adrenaline and a gnawing need to protect the unprotected. Emma faced the woman, desperation etched deep in her brow. "What has he done? What are you here to do?" The figure paused, the storm in her eyes softening slightly. "Whatever justice you seek, it may be too late. The truth can be both a shield and a sword, Emma. You must choose wisely." Lightning split the sky outside, illuminating the haunted faces within the room, and in that brief flash, Emma felt a growing sense of urgency. The storm wasn't just outside. It lived within the very walls of this mansion, orchestrating chaos and revealing dark family secrets that threatened everyone present. Just as confusion threatened to engulf her, she caught the figure's penetrating gaze. "You want to run, Emma. You will uncover your own truth." The crowd gasped as Leonard lunged forward, reckless abandon taking over. "No, this is my home, my power." His voice cracked, lost in the tempest swirling inside and outside. With realization dawning heavy over her, Emma grasped for breath as the ground felt unsteady beneath her. What was her truth? What sacrifices awaited? The atmosphere thickened painfully as she realized that whatever choice she made, the consequences would ripple beyond her understanding. And then the walls began to tremble, as if responding to the turmoil's secrets locked away. For far too long were ready to explode. Thunder echoed louder. A warning. Emma's heart raced with determination as she locked eyes once more with the figure. "Then let us uncover it together." But as she spoke, a figure in the shadows slipped away unnoticed, their intentions hidden and ominous, a ticking clock inching closer to an explosive revelation. The tension in the room hung thick, a mist of fear and anticipation swirling around every guest. Emma felt it coil around her, tightening her chest as if the mansion itself was alive, breathing with the storm raging outside. A sound echoed, a low rumble of thunder might have mimicked the unrest brewing in the crowd. Then, Leonard, face pale and eyes wide, took a step back. "Everyone leave," he shouted, his voice cracking. Panic rippled through the crowd, some moving toward the exits while others remained, desperate to witness the unfolding drama. "Don't you dare." The sharpness in the figure's voice sliced through the chaos, halting those near the doors. "You need to witness what comes next. The truth cannot hide any longer." Emma's heart thudded in her ears, drowning out the clamor of fearful voices. She felt electrified by an instinct stronger than fear. This was more than a confrontation. This was the moment justice was demanded. Stepping forward, she grasped her own resolve. "What truth?" she implored, desperation flooding her words. "What has Leonard done?" Those stormy eyes turned to her once more, fierce and unyielding. "He has buried secrets that are not only his to keep. The lives he has shattered demand a reckoning." Leonard scoffed, but the laughter sounded hollow. "And you think some ghost story will frighten me? I built this empire. Nothing can take it from me." He seemed to swell with arrogance, yet faint traces of uncertainty flared in his gaze, flickering across the faces of the terrified guests. "You don't see the strength in your downfall, Leonard." The figure stepped closer to him, and an eerie stillness enveloped the room. "There are consequences to the choices you've made, and tonight they will unfurl." As the storm outside erupted in a wall of rain, Emma's focus sharpened. She caught snippets of the whispering crowd. A woman murmured about betrayal. A man gasped at the revelation. The air was electric, and she felt the heat rising in her chest as the truth beckoned, wrestling with her own doubts and fears. What if this is all a lie?" Emma interjected, her voice shaky but fierce. "What if it's just a manipulation to frighten us?" The figure turned to her, the softening of her gaze replaced by renewed fire. "You can doubt it all you want, Emma, but the only lie here is the one you've been told by Leonard. And if you open your eyes to the truth, you may just save yourself." At that moment, the ground beneath them shook, rattling glasses and sparking the lights to flicker again. The room gasped, a simultaneous breath drawn in disbelief. Shadows danced along the walls, revealing deeply buried memories crawling out from the recesses of the mansion, threatening to spill forth. Emma steadied herself, heart pounding. "We're better together," she managed, reaching toward the figure with newfound determination. "Help me understand." Before Emma could process her next thought, Leonard's panic burst forth in a growl. "Enough!" he thundered, darting toward a table and sweeping it aside in desperation. The crowd gasped collectively, clambering backward as dust swirled in the dim light. "I'll not be exposed." He was a wounded animal, lashing out, and the room erupted in chaos. Amidst the commotion, Emma caught sight of something aflash in the corner of her vision. She turned to find the figure in the corner, her eyes locked in a heated confrontation with Leonard. "You cannot manipulate the truth any longer." But at that instant, the lights went black. An engulfing silence fell, swallowing the crowd in darkness. Emma's heart raced. In that suffocating void, she could feel the fear pulsing around her, the weight of dread lifting with every tick of uncertainty. "Find the light," Emma shouted into the void, a plea ringing out in the dark. And as she groped for anything to cling to, the sound of footsteps echoed ominously, a reminder that someone else was lurking in shadows of their own. Then came a yell, piercing the night like a bullet through flesh. "No!" The crowd erupted into a cacophony of panic, and Emma instinctively knew a line was crossed that could not be undone. What did they unleash? As the lights flickered back on, the scene before her shifted, and she felt the chilling grasp of destiny tighten around her throat once more. Someone lay on the floor, still as the storm raged on outside. The truth was clawing its way out. Would they be ready for what it revealed? Emma squinted in the dim light, her heart racing at the sight before her. The figure sprawled on the floor strikingly still, a pool of darkening crimson slowly spreading around them. A gasp surged through the crowd, followed by an unsteady murmur that turned into a chaotic whirlpool of screams. The atmosphere throbbed with tension, every soul suspended in disbelief. "Who is it?" someone cried, voice cracking under the weight of panic. Emma stepped closer, her breath hitching in her throat. It was Nora, the housekeeper, a blend of disbelief and horror plastered on her face. Leonard's empire was built on lies, but this was too much. The air felt heavier, thick with dread as eyes darted among the terrified guests. Leonard fell silent, his face morphing from fury to shock, as if the room had tilted on its axis. He took a step backward, the bluster draining from him. The figure of the mysterious woman still loomed with intensity, her gaze fixed on Leonard, unyielding despite the chaos around them. "We need to call for help," someone shouted, but the words hung uselessly in the charged air. "No one leaves." The figure stepped forward, voice of fierce command slicing through the frenzy. "This is only the beginning. You must confront the reality beneath the facade." Emma felt a chill race down her spine. The truth, the lies, the blood, they were all tangled in a knot she could not yet untie. "What does this mean?" she stammered, her hands shaking. "This can't be how it ends. We have to find out who did this." The figure's eyes flashed knowingly, and she replied, "The one you trust the most is the one who betrayed you all, Emma. The walls are closing in, but you still have one chance, one connection left to uncover." Leonard regained some composure, sneering now. "This is absurd. You think you have power here?" He swept his arms at the crowd, his bravado hanging by a thread. "You're all fools, believing this specter's tales. Just look at the evidence," the figure replied with fire in her voice, eyes narrowing as she pointed at the crumpled body. "What more do you need?" The lights flickered again, and Emma's gut twisted. Shadows lurked at the edges, a darkness breathing life into her fears. Lightning flashed, illuminating the horror on the floor, amplifying the tension suffocating them all. She didn't want to believe what was unfolding before her. The significance of Nora's lifeless body poured into her thoughts like a torrential downpour, soaking her with dread. "Stop!" Emma shouted into the fray, her voice rising above the chaos. "Just stop for a second. If we're going to figure this out, we need to stay calm." But the fear kept bubbling, each moment pushing everyone closer to the brink. She tried to steady her heart, grasping for clarity in the pandemonium. A murmuring hush accompanied the sudden crack of thunder that cascaded against the mansion walls. Apprehension swirled thick, but in the center of it, she felt an ember of determination ignite. We can't let fear control us. She whispered, half to herself, half to those around her. You're running out of time. The figure urged, stepping back, but Emma sensed a spark of something more, her intuition igniting. A chilling realization struck her. If Leonard was as dangerous as the figure implied, how far was he willing to go to silence the truth? Who's next? Leonard's voice cut through, dripping with mocking confidence. Who else will fall? Emma's pulse quickened. In that moment, she could feel the darkness encroaching again, a pressure against her thoughts. She had to act, but every nerve in her body screamed to flee. Yet, she couldn't abandon Nora's memory, nor let Leonard reign unchallenged. And then, as a gust of wind howled through the mansion, a door creaked open at the hall's end, revealing a shadowy figure. Someone else was here, someone who knew more than they let on. Stop right there, Emma shouted, both threatened and curious. Who had arrived, and what secrets did they carry? Uncertainty gripped the room once more, and Emma wondered, could there be a deeper conspiracy at play? A hidden truth that only the newest arrival could unveil? The new figure stepped into the flickering light, revealing a familiar face that sent fresh waves of gasps through the crowd. It was James, Leonard's right-hand man, known for his sleek suits and quick smile, but now his expression was anything but pleasant. His eyes darted around, taking account of the chaos, as he raised a hand in an effort to calm the mounting tension. Emma, what is happening? His voice strained with concern, but there was a glint in his eyes that made Emma wary. You know damn well what is happening, James. She took a step toward him, her voice a whisper now. Nora's dead, and there's a killer among us. Don't jump to conclusions, he murmured, his tone smooth like oil, but Emma could feel the unease radiating from him. Behind her, the guests were close to hysteria. Some pulled out their phones, nearly tripping over one another as they called for help. Leonard, once brimming with authority, had shrunk into himself, eyes darting between Emma and James, his composure slipping even further. Nora was loyal to me. Leonard barked suddenly, the tremor betraying his fear. What does this have to do with any of you? The figure in the shadows rolled her eyes, annoyance flaring as she stepped more into the light. You think loyalty means nothing? Too many betrayals have already taken place in this house, Leonard. You're just one of them. Her words hung, like blades, poised to cut through the facade Leonard had built around him. Emma focused on James, looking for answers. You were with him all night. Did you see anything? Did you hear anything? James swallowed hard, his eyes flitting nervously to Leonard. The lights flickered violently again, plunging them into darkness for a heartbeat before they flickered back to life. And in that fleeting moment, Emma noticed something glint on the floor near Nora's body, a silver locket, faintly illuminated. Her heart pounded as she bent to pick it up, feeling the cold metal against her fingers. This belongs to Nora, she breathed, the weight of it heavy. Give that to me. Leonard lunged forward, but Emma held it tightly, fear fueling her strength. What do you know about it? Nothing. It's just Leonard's voice wavered again. She was very possessive of her belongings. That doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme. But James, now pale, focused his gaze on the locket. That could be important, he managed, frustration creeping into his tone. The figure stepped closer, her expression darkening. Emma, that locket contains secrets. Within lies the link to your betrayal. You must open it before the truth is buried like the rest. Emma nodded slowly, realizing she had to dig deeper. But would opening the locket unveil more than just secrets? Would it lead her closer to uncovering the true motives behind Leonard's empire and the treachery that spiraled within? Who killed Nora? Emma demanded, her voice unwavering. And how many more will pay the price for the truth? The room pulsed with tension as they awaited answers, the air thick with uncertainty. Just then, a loud crash echoed from the hall beyond them. Everyone turned, hearts racing as another figure stumbled through the door, breathless and wide-eyed. I saw something I shouldn't have. The newcomer gasped, clutching a crumpled piece of paper tight against their chest. Emma felt the room freeze, a collective gasp rippling through the crowd. What had this person witnessed? What secrets would be unveiled next? The path to the truth had opened, leading them further into the darkness. The tension in the room was palpable as everyone turned their gaze to the newcomer, their eyes filled with a mix of fear and anticipation. The figure was a young woman, hair disheveled and face pale like she had just seen a ghost. She glanced around nervously, clutching the crumpled paper like a lifeline before she took a step forward. "What did you see?" Emma pressed, her heart racing, desperate for answers that could shatter the walls around them. I was in the hallway. I heard them arguing," the woman stammered, her voice barely rising above a whisper. "Nora and Leonard. Just before what?" Emma urged, leaning closer, feeling the heat from the crowd behind her. "Before I heard the screaming." The girl's eyes widened, and gasps rippled through the guests. "I didn't see who was there, but I swear I heard someone else. It wasn't just them." "Who?" Leonard interrupted, his voice growing angry, panic flashing like lightning across his face. "Who else was there?" "I don't know," she cried, shaking her head as tears welled up. "I just knew it was bad. So bad." James's expression hardened, and Emma noticed the way he clenched his fists. "Enough of this nonsense," he snapped. "We need to focus. The police are on their way, and in what?" Emma cut him off, anger rising within her. "We might be running out of time. This locket, these revelations, they could lead us to the killer. We can't just stand here." Leonard opened his mouth, but a sudden roar of voices outside interrupted him, crashing through the house like a wave. Emma felt a tug in her gut. Whatever was going on outside, it wasn't going to be good. "Stay here," Leonard barked as he headed toward the door, a sense of authority still gripping him even as uncertainty swirled. "I'll see what is happening." "No," Emma shouted, but it was too late. He pushed through the crowd, his figure blending into the shadows. Silence returned, thick and suffocating. The tension seemed to press down on them. Emma turned back to the young woman, desperate to pry more information from her. "What else can you remember?" Emma asked gently, trying to ease the girl's fear. "There was a name," she stuttered. "I heard what name?" James interjected, his irritation bubbling closer to the surface. "Isaac," she screamed suddenly, eyes wide. "I heard Nora say his name, just before everything went wild." The room erupted in chaos, voices overlapping. "Isaac? Who is Isaac?" Emma shot a glance toward James, whose expression stiffened, revealing hints of made-up stories. "Nothing," he sneered, trying to regain control over the crowd. "Just mind games." Emma felt a chill racing down her spine. "Mind games or not, we need to find out who that is," she said, her voice lost in the tumult. The figure who had previously stepped from the shadows now edged closer, a knowing smirk on her lips. "What if I told you that Isaac is closer than you think?" "Enough with the games," Emma shouted, growing frustrated. But the woman ignored her. "I've seen it all unfold before my eyes. Secrets hidden in plain sight." And then, without warning, the lights flickered again, plunging the room momentarily into darkness. In that fleeting second, the sounds of struggle echoed from outside, cries, shouts, and a thud that reverberated powerfully against the walls. Emma's heart raced. Panic surged through her as she realized they were not just witnesses. They were now part of something spiraling far beyond their control. Something deadly. "Do you want the truth, or are you going to bury it like you always have?" The figure sneered, and the room fell silent again, tension coiling in the air. Just then, the door burst open, revealing Leonard standing there, wild-eyed and gasping. They're here for us," he blurted out, his face drained of color. "Who?" Emma shouted, adrenaline kicking in. "The police?" he managed, but he sounded uncertain, fear creeping into his voice. "No," he finally said, trembling. "Worse than that." And then, with a swift movement, a dark figure stepped behind him, lurking in the shadows, the room holding its breath. What awaited them now, in this house of secrets and broken trust? The truth was about to unearth itself in ways none of them had anticipated. The dark figure stepped forward, revealing a glint of silver and knife. The crowd gasped collectively, eyes wide with horror. Emma's breath caught in her throat as the figure raised the weapon, the blade catching a flicker of light that crept in from the corridor behind Leonard. "Who are you?" Leonard spluttered, backing away, panic etched across his features. "What do you want?" "Enough with the games," the figure hissed, voice low and menacing. "I'm here for the truth, and it's time you all paid for your lies." Emma's stomach twisted. This wasn't a mere confrontation anymore. This was a reckoning. "Put the knife down," Emma yelled, her heart hammering wildly as she glanced at the young woman beside her, who had gone pale as a sheet. Don't do this. Don't do what? The figure shot back, advancing a step closer to Leonard. Exposing the truth? You think your secrets are safe? Not anymore. James moved, positioning himself between the figure and the stunned crowd. You're out of your mind if you think scaring us will change anything. We're just trying to hide behind your plush lives. The figure's laugh was sharp, slicing through the air. You think this will all go away? Your past? It's catching up with you. Leonard's hands trembled as he glanced towards Emma. Don't let them provoke you into something you'll regret, he urged, though his voice held little weight now, quaking under the pressure of the situation. What about Isaac? Emma shouted, grasping for whatever could save them. You mentioned a name. How do you know him? The figure paused, a knowing smile playing on their lips for just a heartbeat. Oh, you'll find out soon enough. The truth has a way of revealing itself when you least expect it, doesn't it? Before Emma could respond, the door to the room slammed shut, locking them in with the threat. Panic gripped the air, thick and suffocating. Break the door. Someone yelled from the back. People began pushing toward the exit, hands clawing at the wood. They were trapped in the room with a lunatic, the walls closing in. Stop, Emma shouted, but her voice was lost in the chaos. The urgency of their voice overlapped with the thudding heartbeats. Everyone calmed down. James bellowed, trying to regain control, but the swirling anxiety made it unclear. We need to thinking doesn't save you when a knife is pointed at your neck. The figure snapped, brandishing the weapon threateningly. Emma's brain raced, desperate to find a way to shift the focus. What do you want from us? She asked, keeping her eyes locked on the glint of the blade as it trembled under the figure's grip. A little girl who never got a chance to speak, the figure rasped, voice dripping with hatred. You pushed her down, crushed her spirit with your filthy lies. I'm merely here to finish what you started. An uneasy silence fell, broken only by the sound of the group trying to escape, voices rising in a mix of fear and chaos. Emma's heart raced even faster than before, understanding dawning on her. Who was the little girl? Could it be tied to the secrets they all clung to? A flash of memory shot through Emma's mind, a flash of laughter that turned to screams in an echo of fate. Nora! You were with Nora! She yelled, defiance surging within her. Suddenly, the figure turned, caught by surprise. What do you know about her? Before Emma could answer, the lights flickered yet again, dimming momentarily. In the brief flash of light, she caught a glimpse of horror in the other's eyes. Shadowed truths loomed in the corners of the room like ghosts. The air crackled with unspoken secrets. The figure's face twisted with rage, and they lunged toward Leonard, knife glimmering in the reduced light. Fearing for Leonard's life, Emma leaped forward, heart pounding, ready to confront the monster in front of her. But in that moment, floorboards creaked ominously, and a deafening crash echoed from somewhere deep within the house, creating a distraction with barely a heartbeat to breathe. Stay back, Leonard shouted, turning sharply. Then came the sound that sent ripples of dread through everyone, a scream, piercing and raw. Emma's heart stopped, a sinking realization dawning. They weren't alone. Who's there? She called out, voice trembling, though she had already begun to fear the answer. A figure emerged from the shadows, a face she recognized, someone they all thought was tight-lipped and safe from this nightmare. Do you want the truth? The figure whispered, stepping forward with a sinister smile. Emma's pulse quickened. The revelation was poised on the brink of disaster, and the curtain on this tragic play was about to rise once more. What other secrets would be unveiled? The newcomer took one step into the dim light, and gasps filled the room. It was Alana, the quiet woman who had worked in Leonard's house for years. She had always been the one to clean up the chaos, a ghost in a house of secrets. Her eyes, usually soft and timid, now burned with a fierce intensity. Alana? Emma's voice wavered, disbelief flaring as she squinted to make sense of the scene. What are you doing here? You all thought you could keep your secrets hidden forever, Alana spat, the words dripping with disdain. But I know everything. I've watched you. I've seen the way you treat those beneath you. Leonard stepped back, shock spilling over into anger. You have no idea what you're talking about. You were supposed to be loyal. Loyalty? Alana let out a short, bitter laugh. You think I betrayed you? Listen, you've betrayed me for years. You took advantage of me, used me as a pawn in your twisted game. But I'm done being your puppet. As she spoke, The knife-wielding figure shifted, eyeing Alana with a mixture of recognition and fury. "You're the one who helped them, aren't you? You've lied too." A chill swept through the crowd. The tension climbed toward unbearable levels, tightening grips and darting glances. Emma felt the weight of that tension, the air charged as if the walls themselves would explode. Leonard opened his mouth, but no words came out. Instead, he glanced nervously around the room. "We can discuss this." He waved a hand dismissively, trying to regain control. But it didn't work. "Discuss?" Alana's voice rose, filled with indignation. "You think there's anything to discuss? Every promise you made was just a thread in your web of lies." A ripple of unrest moved through the crowd, the whispers tinged with doubt. Were they complicit too? Did they all have secrets buried in the soil of this deceiving facade? "Wait," Emma said, her heart racing as ideas clicked into place. "You said you've seen everything. What about Isaac? You must know something." Alana's eyes narrowed, a flicker of hesitation flashing across her face. For a heartbeat, it seemed she might crumble under the weight of the moment. "I do. Isaac. He wasn't who you think he is." With those words, the room fell into a heavy silence. Everyone held their breath, caught in the maze of uncertainty. "Then tell us," James shouted, urgency anchoring his voice. "What do you know?" But before Alana could respond, the figure lunged forward again, raising the knife menacingly, eyes wild with anger. "No more games. You want to talk about the truth? Let us talk about how painful it is when the past comes back to haunt you." Suddenly, a shriek ripped through the air. Not a scream from deep within the house, but rather a loud crash against the main door. Something was trying to break in. "What now?" Emma whispered, panic filling her chest. The crowd flinched, eyes darting nervously towards the source of the sound. "Stay back," Leonard shouted, his voice shaky but authoritative, fear lining his facade. And just as abruptly as the threat emerged, the lights flickered once more, plunging them into darkness. Heartbeats pounded like war drums, chaos swelling around them. Emma felt herself sink further into despair. It was then that a voice, familiar yet tinged with malice, echoed from the shadows. "It's time you all face your reckoning." The truth is within reach. Emma's mind raced, spiraling as she realized they were no longer just fighting one threat, but perhaps two. The very foundations of their lives were about to be shaken to the core. As the lights returned, illuminating their grotesque tableau, she spotted something on the floor, a loose board, revealing hidden space below. What horrors lay beneath, waiting to be discovered? "Get back!" she yelled, heart hammering, as the truths of the past began to claw their way to the surface, threatening to consume them all. What would they find hidden below? And who would walk out alive to tell the tale? The air crackled with tension as the lights flickered once more, plunging the room into chaos. Emma's heart raced as she eyed the darkened corner, where the strange whispers of secrets clawed at her very core. She glanced at the locked door, panic swelling in her chest. Something was getting closer. "Lies breed lies," the shadowy figure hissed, her grip tightening around the knife. "And you all are nothing but wretched puppeteers." The words echoed ominously against the walls, igniting fear into the hearts of everyone present. Emma fought against the tide of hysteria surrounding her. "No, you're wrong," she shouted, stepping forward with unexpected bravado. "We can expose the truth together." With determination flooding her veins, she beckoned the others to focus, desperate to unite them against the mounting darkness. Then, there was a crash. The front door burst open violently, and a beam of light cut through the murky shadows. The figures of law enforcement flooded the space, their expressions grave. "Put the knife down," one officer commanded, his voice cutting through the chaos like a hot knife through butter. But the towering figure spun around, caught between the threat of authorities and their vendetta against the hidden sins of Leonard's world. "You think you can save them?" The figure scoffed, glancing hesitantly at Emma, then Leonard. "They're all complicit." "Complicit?" Emma echoed, breathless. "Or victims of a monster." As the officers tried to approach, a flurry of voices surrounded them. Screams and confusion collided as people darted to the walls and cowered behind furniture. Emma pushed through the panic, her eyes locking onto Alana, whose expression carried something deep, layered beneath the surface. "Tell me what you know," Emma urged, stepping closer to the woman who had been hiding in shadows far too long. We can fight this together. Alana hesitated, twisting her hands nervously. Isaac, he was part of Leonard's darkest secrets. A reach of power, twisted and cruel. Her voice trembled, layers of guilt laid bare as she spoke about the man whose life had been tied to the pain of many. Plenty of people were hurt because of him, but he was also family. Family? Emma's heart sank. What does that even mean? You mean he had ties to the mansion? To the family? Alana met Emma's eyes with fierce intensity. You don't understand. He was my brother, and Leonard was the one responsible for his demise. Suddenly, the truth erupted from Alana like flame. They made deals for power. When men like Leonard step on those weaker, blood stains the floor. Emma felt a shock ripple through the crowd as each breath was laden with accountability. The figure with the knife shook, uncertainty flickering across their face. No, you're tied to this. The figure shrieked, voice twisting into fury. This can't end here. The truth has to come out. I won't let you take anyone else, Emma shouted back, eyes blazing with conviction. We have to face the consequences together, or none of us will survive this. Then, at that moment, Leonard stepped forward, shaking but defiant. You think you're so clever? Let them take me. He barked, eyes darting toward the officers, desperation clawing at his carefully constructed reality. I built this empire on my own. You destroyed lives. Emma yelled back. You can't hide anymore, Leonard. The figure shifted uneasily, caught between their spirals of retribution. But then, a shift occurred. The officer at the front raised his voice again, firm and unwavering. We could take everyone here into custody, but we want to understand what happened. Give us the truth now, and we can move forward. A faint spark of hope ignited within Emma. The idea took root in her chest. Maybe justice could still be served, but only if they all had the courage to unveil their darkest truths. Let us face it together, Emma whispered, connecting with Alana's horrified gaze and James's determined expression. Unravel the darkness, or let it consume us. As they aligned their intentions, Alana revealing Isaac's tragic history, Emma uncovering the imbalances of power. They felt the embers of retribution fused with beginnings of justice. They could tear down this shattered empire together. With a hesitant breath, Leonard clenched his fists, anger boiling at the edge of self-preservation. I will not go down without a fight. He spat, desperation chipping away at his arrogance. But at that moment, the figure's resolve hardened into anger too. Then you will face everything you have wrought, whether it be brought by my hands, the officers, or the ghosts clawing at your conscience. And with that, the truths ignited a reckoning, spilling into the air like the rain now pouring outside. When the knife dropped from its holder's grip and clattered to the floor, silence enveloped the room, a silence filled with the promise of accountability, of healing. The looming shadows began to fall away as clarity seeped into the dark corners of their hearts. And in that shared moment of despair, hope flickered, lighting their path toward liberation. But the battle against the unseen, woven in betrayal, still lay ahead. Now, dear viewers, this story is wrapping up, but your journey doesn't have to. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss our next exclusive stories filled with twists and turns. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, and tell me what you thought of the ending. I want to hear your reactions and theories flooding the comments section below. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to be part of this thrilling saga. Your support is everything.